Marching again. Brilliant. Threads it in.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Plastics Podcast. Today, it's hosted by me, Blair, LaCross, and my co-host / producer, Maddie Gaylor. What's up, Maddie?
Hey.
How's it going?
Great. Happy to be here.
Good. This week, we found some real exciting matches outside the Premier League with Villarreal facing off against Real Madrid. Then, Serie A title contenders Napoli and Inter battled it out for a tie, only to have Milan win their game and take the lead back by 1 point in the league. Finally, we end the weekend by venturing back to the Premier League to visit a couple of teams that had some major changes in the transfer window in Newcastle v. Aston Villa. Let's do this.
All right.
NASCastle.
NASCastle.
That's the synthesis of the Premier League and NASCAR's NASCastle. Dale Earnhardt Jr. playing at the number 9 position today.
NASCastle just sounds like a disgusting sport.
It does, yeah. Or like a really unhealthy energy drink or something.
Yeah. Boost your game up with
NASCastle. Chug it, yeah.
How are you, Blair?
I'm good, Maddie. We've been talking a bit about this episode, and we wanted to take a left turn to cover some of the Olympic events that we've been watching.
So exciting. I mean, honestly, that Nathan Chen routine shivers.
It's amazing. So NBC has had us on location in China to watch these events.
It's crazy.
Yeah, paying us the big bucks to be there. They want all of our insights because we know everything there is to know about all the Olympic events.
Yeah.
Having contended in each of them ourselves. So, yeah, Nathan Chen, what a guy. That was amazing. Zach and I stayed up till 12:30 in the morning to watch that.
I was so close. I was 3 people away from watching his routine, and sleep got the better of me, and I woke up to him being awarded the gold medal, and I said, great.
Yeah.
I don't need to see it. It happened.
So impressive. He won the gold in the men's singles. There was some stiff competition from a lot of Japanese contenders. The silver medalist and runner-up, Yuma Kageyama, was especially impressive. He's just a kind of a shorter guy, and he just gets like so much acceleration in his spins. Like it was really impressive. And figure skating was something that I never ever watched.
Really?
Ever. Yeah, just didn't really care about it.
It was the only thing I watched.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I really loved it.
I was a big Michelle Kwan fan growing up, so like maybe I did as a youth, but like, I just stopped paying attention to it. But man, tell you what, the Nathan Chen routine, you really do like get like chills watching it. It was impressive.
It's because he does it unlike so many other people.
Yeah.
He picked a song and landed the jumps on the beat.
Yeah, it was like perfectly timed to the song.
Like it was ramping up, and then the beat drops and he lands the thing, and you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yes. Some other events that we were talking about though was the speed skating. We didn't get to watch the speed skating, but I just saw on Twitter the results, and an American woman won the women's 500 meter speed skating event. Her name is Erin Jackson, and get this, Erin Jackson started speed skating 4 months ago.
She walked on ice for the first time in 2019 or something like that?
Yeah. So Erin Jackson is a woman from Ocala, Florida. Ocala? I think it's Ocala, but I don't know. She is an engineer by trade, I guess, and she was performed in roller derby competitions in Florida, I guess.
Like
so that's
any
kind of
badass does.
Yeah. What was her roller derby name?
Baby.
Baybee.
B-A.
I think it was.
E-B-E-E, like Bay?
I think it was B-A-Y.
B-A-Y,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So cool name. She was performing in roller derbies and decided like, I'm going to try my hand at speed skating, and then like just literally just got the gold medal at the Olympics.
Because why not,
Incredible. It's an incredible story. And like, it's really like the, like question that everybody gets where it's like, if you had to compete in one Olympic event and place, what would be your best chances of placing which event? And
obviously it's curling.
Yeah. She literally just did that. She's like, yeah, I'm going to do speed skating, and then just got the gold.
I feel like it this week. I really like the ice. It's kind of cool. I'm just going to try it out, see where it lands me on the podium.
Yeah. So, yeah, highly impressive, Aaron. Way to go. That's an awesome way to represent us. I had a couple of other mentions or people I wanted to mention, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Zoe Sadowski, the New Zealander who won the women's slopestyle and snowboarding. Really impressive routine. Like, hats off to her. It was crazy. And there were Americans looking to podium, and she just kind of came out and stomped a really impressive run. That was awesome. Eileen Gu, who's a 18-year-old from San Francisco, but she competes for China, won the women's big air freestyle skiing as well. That was a really impressive performance from her. And then we watched the men's halfpipe as Shaun White rode off into the sunset in his last professional competition. Unfortunately for Shaun, he didn't podium.
So close.
Yeah, he was fourth, I think. Yeah. He got like an 85.
Yeah.
But he was sort of outshone, I guess, by this Japanese competitor, Ayumu Hirano, who was literally flying through the air at heights never before achieved by a man.
He had the most controversial announcing I have ever heard. Like, these announcers were appalled that he did the triple cork for the first time ever. And the announcers are like, how could that only get a 75? This was amazing. Oh my gosh. He just got it stolen from him. And then the next time he does the triple cork again, lands it again, and wins it on that one. But they were pissed for this kid.
It was a guy on the NBC call. He was super upset. He's like, I've been doing this my whole life. I know what a good run looks like, and that was a flawless run, and he got a 91.5. It doesn't make any sense. He was incensed. He was saying that they grenaded their credibility as judges. He said it 4 times too. He tweeted that they grenaded their credibility.
He did?
He was so mad. And then Ayumu Hirano just comes out and stomps the same run, and they give him a 96 and he gets the gold, which is purely vindication. But
it was oh right, we did him wrong last time. Maybe we should do it right.
Very, very impressive.
There was also, we watched it's hard because they're either at 1 a.m. or 10 p.m. And so we're catching a lot of the late nights, and we watched the mixed doubles snowboard,
the snowboard cross, right?
And a 44-year-old from America, 40-year-old, won, him and his partner, who's 36, won the gold medal. And that was the first time. This is his first medal in any Olympic competition. He's done it every year since he was young.
It was Nick Baumgartner, who played football at Northern Michigan University and is from Michigan.
Are you kidding? I knew he was from Iron Mountain, but I didn't know he played football. That's hilarious.
Yep. And then Lindsay Jacobellis, who I think is she's been in the Olympics 5 times. She's very illustrious.
It's been fun. It's a moral dilemma to watch the Olympics, but it's fun to watch them,
Yeah, no, for sure. I think my friends and I in our group chat were talking about the Olympics, and we were like, do any of us care about this at all? And I was like, no, I don't plan on watching any of this. And then you turn on one event and you're like, okay, I'm kind of getting into this. This is pretty cool.
And then you watch Nathan Chen's routine and you're like, I'm going to watch every single thing this kid does.
Yep. All right.
Should we get into it?
Yeah, let's talk soccer.
All right, let's get real.
Okay. Villarreal, 0. Real Madrid, 0.
Boy, oh boy, we picked some winners this weekend.
The Plastics Podcast curse once again rears its ugly head. We saw a goalless draw in a fairly entertaining game. I thought it was kind of slow, but it was a bit disappointing not to see any of these any goals from either team. And as you may know, I'm a Villarreal fan. I have to be by legal contract. I swore an oath to Unai Emery after he was fired from Arsenal that if he beat Arsenal in the Europa League with Villarreal, that I would forever have to root for him until the day he or I die.
Wow.
And so, yes, Villarreal, I am. What would you call me? I'm the surf. I'm their surf, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, and we've talked about Villarreal in the past. They've had a really, really strange season in La Liga. They're like drawing a ton of games. They seem to be on a little bit better form lately, and they look pretty good in this game. I mean, I don't know. I was kind of expecting Real Madrid just to show up and kind of stomp them, but that's not really what happened.
I mean, they had a couple players out on injury. With a weird start from Gareth Bale up front.
That was surprising to me.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked. And no Luka Modric to start.
Yeah. Yeah, Luka Modric did come on late in the game, but it was Valverde that got the start in his place. So, yeah, I guess some changes. Yeah, no Benzema, obviously, and no Modric. That's, I don't know, I mean, two pretty key players for Real Madrid, especially Benzema up top. So
is he injured?
I actually don't know what his deal was. Let's see. Was he on the bench even?
I don't think so.
No, he wasn't. And when Bale did finally come off, it was Luka Jovic who came on for him. So, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with the Mercedes-Benz, but yeah, we don't know for sure. So let's kind of get into the game a little bit. What were your impressions in the first half?
I thought each team had their half, right? Mm-hmm. And I think Villarreal's first half was their half to attack. Mm-hmm. They had some shots. They had one that was so close, and it went right off the edge of the post and out of bounds. They had the shot, I think it was in the first half still, where the keeper saved it, bounced back to a Villarreal player, and then they shot it again, and a defender blocked it. That was
Villarreal, right? That was the Real Madrid shot, and then Serge Aurier saved it from crossing the line with a goalie save, hockey goalie save with his knees.
So like both teams really had their opportunities, and in different halves, they just kind of like, I think Real Madrid was unprepared for Villa's like style of play in the first half, and then, you know, got their pep talk in the second half, and they're like, all right, we can do it. But they couldn't. Still, nobody could break down the defense enough to put one in the box.
Yeah, it was I think Real Madrid kind of showed up in the first half and they're like going through the motions for the most part.
Yeah.
It wasn't really until about like the 36th or 37th minute where I think Gareth Bale got played through by Casemiro, and he was in one-on-one with Rui, who had to make a really, really nice save. He had to make himself big, come off his line to stop Bale from finding the net. And that's kind of, I think, maybe what set the tone for the second half, but the first half for them was just really, really poor. I mean, they just didn't seem at all interested in playing the game.
Bale wasn't seen at all.
Yeah. He was, up until that moment, he was completely non-existent.
They sat back really, really far, and there was no way for them to get the ball to Bale because he was still up where he should be. Mm-hmm. And that is behind, you know, the midfield and their defense.
Yeah.
So there was no way for him to get the ball. There was nobody really in between, and it was just them sitting back, taking the shots, and then kind of realizing, oh, this is not how you win a game.
Yeah, it was a lot of like pot shots from distance and like just, you know, shots that you knew were basically like prayers. They didn't really have much of a chance outside of maybe a lucky bounce to score. So yeah, it was a pretty lazy performance, I would say. Maddie, what did you make of Marcelo's performance in the first half of this game?
Oof.
Marcelo, that is the left back for Real Madrid, who I think the commentators were continually making notes of how he was doing.
I honestly, I don't know.
Yeah. Marcelo was basically left to mark Samuel Chukwueze, who was running at him down the right wing for Villarreal. Chukwueze is a really, he's a really technically sound player. He's great with the ball at his feet, and he was giving Marcelo fits, and really, Marcelo and like Vinicius, like all the players that were kind of trying to track back his runs and cover. They just they couldn't throw enough guys at him in the first half. He was just dancing around Real Madrid defenders with ease and getting into the box. And he really struggled because he couldn't find Villarreal, players to pass to in the box and to set up. So it seemed like he kind of grew some frustration out of that. But he was just roasting Marcelo on that side. And even the commentators were saying that, Marcelo was like, what do they say? His legs or his feet were like marshmallows or something.
Jeez.
Yeah. So he was the obvious weak point in their defense, especially in the first half. And it seemed like if anything was going to happen, it was going to be down that right side for Villarreal by way of Samuel Chukwueze, who had a really, really flashy and really impressive performance in the first half. So, yeah, what do you think?
So I'm looking at his heat map.
Mm-hmm.
And for a defender, his heat map is pretty high.
Yeah. So yeah, he does get up the field, right? And that's I think where Marcelo's. Yeah, exactly.
It's like right outside the opposition 18.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's kind of like Marcelo's, redeeming feature as a fullback, right? He's pretty good. He's a pretty good distributor, passer. And maybe lacks a little bit on some of the defending stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I thought that was a pretty interesting performance from him. He lost a bunch of ground duels, and I think most of those came by way of Samuel Chukwueze. So yeah,
definitely the weakest player in the bunch. Just going by the scores, that every player, Gareth Bale didn't really have much action, so I'm really not taking him into account at all. But I think David Alaba and Carvajal had to really make up for Marcelo's lack of defending work.
Yeah, I thought Alaba and Militao generally did a pretty good job in this game, and yeah, it was just Marcelo that was really breaking down for them on the defensive front. So
both keepers though had a really good game.
Yeah, definitely true. I wanted to highlight that one next. I think Geronimo Rui for Villarreal had a really impressive performance. I mean, he had 5 saves that he had to make. 4 of them came from shots inside the box. A couple of them where, he had to tip the ball. In one case, he tipped the ball, it hit the crossbar. I mean, he was just it was these really marginal moments that were coming out for him. But he had an excellent game for sure. And I think in the end, Villarreal salvaged the point because Rui really was standing on his head in goal. So that was a very, very impressive performance from him. Yeah. So do you want to talk about Gareth Bale?
Yeah, let's do it. He had 19 touches on the ball in the game. Where was he? Because even when they had their half of attacking and they were looking good, I didn't really see too much of him. And I think the main attacking threat was Vinny.
Yes. Vinny, who maybe we should go into after this. But yeah, so
such a frustrating player to watch play this game.
Yeah, it was really annoying. So Bale is a really low touch guy, and he had a really strange performance because he wasn't really present in the game for most of it. But when he was, it was these really dangerous moments for Villarreal where it's Bale's making these streaking runs in behind or making a run down the wing and dribbling onto his left foot and taking a shot. I think that was actually the one that was tipped and hit the crossbar, came off of Gareth Bale's shot. So he was he provided a lot of threat in a low touch capacity, which made for just a really strange performance and all. Cause it's kind of sometimes you have these guys who they they're like that. Maybe they're like really loose with the ball, and they make like really foolish errors, but they produce goals like this. That was the eternal problem with Alexis Sanchez at Arsenal. He was just really, really sloppy with the ball, but he also just like could make something out of nothing. And that was like maybe that Gareth Bale just kind of falls in that category where he doesn't really affect the game from moment to moment, but he can just kind of produce something out of nothing. And he almost did in this game. So it was a really strange performance from him and all, but he very nearly found the net. So hard to really judge what he brings to Real Madrid versus Benzema. But you want to talk about Vinny?
Dun, 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 dun. Shameless dive of the year. Oh my gosh. And I can't even pick one because it was the entire game. I think the first 3 times he had the ball and got dispossessed, he just fell. He just flat out fell.
Yeah. Vinicius Jr. he's a very good player. And he's really growing into, sort of stardom, I'd say. He's kind of hit the levels of potential that Real Madrid literally paid for. I mean, they paid a pretty hefty fee to buy him. And he's still, a young player at 21. But good God, man. I have no idea what had happened to him, going into this game. But he just, he was playing soccer from the ground. I don't get it. Constantly complaining to the referee and trying to get calls to go his way, and the ref was just having none of it.
I think the ref at one point was just like, hey man, if you keep falling, and I know these are BS falls, you're not going to get the call when it's an actual foul. Because you're just the boy who cried foul right now.
Yeah.
You're not going to get him anymore.
Yep. That's really true. I mean, and there was even one, I think, like you described, where he was there might have been a legitimate foul there, and the ref just gave him the most curt get up that you've ever seen. He swiped his hand up, get off the ground. I know you're
you
faking
fool.
it. Yeah. He wasn't getting any favor from the referee, and just as the game went on, and he kept with the antics, it was just what are you doing, man?
It's not fun to watch that kind of. It's not a fun way to play. Yeah. Because you're stopping the game from progressing, and it's just you are essentially taking yourself off of the field.
Yeah, exactly.
For those, minute where you're sitting on the ground with your hands in the air and you're and it's you're not helping your team. In fact, you're quite literally taking away a player from your team to pass to work with. Yep. You're creating a little bubble around yourself that nobody can go into. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, he kind of turned into a pit, right? The ball would go to him and then it wouldn't come back out, And it was either he was falling and losing the ball, or trying to draw a foul. Maybe he would occasionally, but not really. So
he had 5 dribble attempts and 2 were successful.
Yeah. And I think too with Real Madrid, it was they seemed disinterested, but when they did seem like they were trying to put together some sort of cohesive attack, it was coming down the left side with Vinny. Asensio didn't really seem to have much involvement in that first half at all. It was mostly through Vinicius, but you want to talk about why they didn't score in that half and why they didn't really produce much, is because Vinicius was constantly on the ground. So
he lost the possession 16 times.
Yeah.
But my God, is he fast?
Yeah, he's incredibly fast. Yeah.
He just blew by Foyth.
Yeah.
Foyth, who, to give him all credit, he handled Vinicius so well.
Mm-hmm. He did, yeah. I think he had a pretty good performance, much better than Marcelo handled Jaqueze, for sure. Yeah, and Vinicius isn't an easy guy to bottle up. I mean, he's a really quality player, so that was a really key, matchup for Villarreal that I think they executed to about as high a level as they could have expected from Foyth in the game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and, getting into the second half, I mean, I think what changed for Real Madrid is, one, they just played the game like they were playing soccer, but more so, they were really, I think, getting Bale a little bit more involved, but getting Asensio involved too and trying to go down the right and offer something different than just the continual pass to Vinicius and see what happens. And I think that's ultimately what led to them finding a little bit more success in the second half. But, in the end, they weren't able to, get it going. get the goal. So bit of a frustrating draw, I would say, probably for Real Madrid and maybe for Villarreal too. I mean, they were getting into so many good spots, but they just couldn't get their shots off. And I think Villarreal, I mean, they really missed their sort of key striker and leading goal scorer of the season, Gerard Moreno, who's got 8 goals this year. He's out with an injury and at a pretty bad time for them. So, who knows if he was the one finding the ball at his feet in some of those positions that Chukwueze was getting, teammates into, he might have been able to put one in goal. But yeah, just a really frustrating day in front of goal for both teams. So,
who is this? Eden Hazard.
Eden Hazard. You say?
Yeah. Did he make an appearance?
No, you don't say. Eden Hazard played soccer for 9 minutes today.
Woo!
Yesterday, at the time of recording. What a day for the guy. He touched the ball 4 times. Congratulations, Eden.
He had one big chance created, though, in those 9 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. I just put that in the notes because I thought it was funny. Eden Hazard's like another one where it's like Real Madrid spent a boatload of money to get him, and that has not worked out at all for them. And lucky for them, their financial situation is a little bit different than Barcelona, and they can kind of take that on the chin better. But yeah, just threw that in there because we saw Eden Hazard, and what I don't know, where's he been?
Hanging out, living the La Liga life.
Living La Liga Loca, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Luka Jovic also came in for Madrid for Bale, and he chipped the keeper Rui and hit the crossbar. Mm-hmm. Basically had a wide open look at net, chip it over the keeper, and you're good. And couldn't get it down quite enough, but hey, what can you do? Any last thoughts on that one?
I really like La Liga's graphics.
Yes.
Hey, it's such a clean. It looks like a video game.
It does.
And like the way they introduce the players, they look like giants on the field.
They like step out of the ground.
Yeah. And like the referee was running at one, and it was just like, if he looked up right then, it would have been like kind of cool.
There's a giant Casemiro on the field. Betamax Casemiro.
That was all I had left from this game.
Yeah, it was, there were some exciting moments, but to me, it was kind of boring. I don't know. It was.
It was nothing to compare to the next game.
Yeah. So good. Maybe we should use that really nice segue to move into Napoli v Inter. In a 1-1 draw, we saw 2 of the top competitors for the Scudetto. Yeah. Scudetto? I always forget this.
I think it's Scudetto.
Yeah. Googling.
Scudetto.
Boom. Scudetto. I put the feminine ending on the word.
How dare you?
Sorry. We saw 2 of the Titans contenders for the Scudetto. God, you just told me. Draw in a really exciting 1-1 draw. Serie A right now at the top of the table is just like
it's so exciting.
It's so exciting. Yeah, there's just a ton of teams that are competing for first. It's by far the most entertaining competition on Europe at the moment of the top 5 leagues, I would say, given just how contentious that title race is going to be, and the top 3 race really is going to be. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, tons of fun to watch. But maybe we can get into this game, Maddie.
Yeah.
We were finishing Villarreal, Real Madrid as this game was starting. So, of course, Lorenzo Insigne scores off a penalty kick in the 8th minute, like right after we turned the game on.
No, we hadn't even turned the game on yet.
Yeah, so right before he turned the game on.
So we still had not seen a goal this entire day.
Yeah. So we came into it with Napoli already with a 1-goal lead. And that came off of a player that I think you highlighted in the rundown here.
I did.
Victor Osimhen, who drew a penalty in the box after he kind of used his strength and size to get between the ball and De Vrij. De Vrij, who just kind of cleared him in the heel. And Osimhen went down. They called a foul, and Insigne took the penalty.
I watched the replay of it, and it was like, I don't know. I don't want to comment on if they called it right or not, because I obviously have a very I have a favorite of this game.
Oh yeah. Was it Napoli?
Yeah. Love Napoli. I thought Osimhen, he just was a really good bully in this game. He could body his way onto any ball, and they couldn't do anything about it. And he showed that in the 8th minute when he bodied his way to get a penalty.
Yeah. Yeah, he uses his like lower body strength really well. And he's a pretty tall guy. I think he's like 6'1" or 6'2". And, he looks it out there, but he has a pretty solid base, and he uses his weight really well. And I think the key for big guys like that is to throw around your weight in such a way that doesn't look like you're like manhandling people, because you're just going to get called for fouls for doing that.
Yeah, that's Lukaku's problem.
Yeah. Lukaku, I think, is even a more extreme case, because his lower body strength is just off the charts. He's an insanely strong guy.
Yeah.
And I think people just kind of bounce off of him even when he doesn't really intend to make that happen. But yeah, really impressive player. I mean, he's a huge target for them in the middle of the field. And they launched balls to him quite frequently, because he just settles it at his feet, or he can, even if it's like not really going to him, he'll just like kind of find the player that's going to and just body him off of it and wait for reinforcements to arrive. Yeah, so really good performance from him. Another player, Maddie, that you highlighted was Denzel Dumfries.
He's new, right? I'm not.
Yeah, he's new this season.
Yeah, I think he's really making a name for himself here. The partnership between Dzeko and Dumfries is really fun, because they're both new players, and they are just kind of both finding themselves, and they find each other a lot of the time. And Dzeko can finish, and Dumfries can he can body. He's also a very large man who knows. I think he's a little bit less subtle about it than Osimhen.
Yeah.
But he's a very large man.
Yeah, he's a big dude. He's like 6'2", 6'3", and he's a wing back. I mean, it's that's a large person, but he's quick. I mean, he doesn't sacrifice any of the other sort of or the physical intangibles just by being a big guy. He doesn't lumber around. So, he's pretty impressive, and he does good work going forward as a wing back, and I think he did find Dzeko a couple times for header chances with crosses. So that partnership does seem to be rather promising. I think basically most people could kick a ball in the direction of Edin Dzeko and he can get ahead to it, because he's just that kind of guy. But he's as I've heard you guys say a lot, he's got some really good aerial prowess. Yeah. Oh yeah. He's like a cat. In the air. Yeah. He always lands on his feet.
I was listening to the announcers, and they said that was his 10th goal of this season. And last season when he was with Roma, he only ever got 8 goals.
Yeah. Yeah. So already off to a pretty solid start for him in the league. And
Inter needed that, because they lost Lukaku. They lost Lukaku, and he was a huge finisher for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, massive goal scorer, big attacking threat. And, one of the probably the best partnerships in the league in Serie A was Lukaku and Lautaro Martinez. So that's a big link to lose between those two players. So Dzeko seems to be comporting himself well and getting, built into the team a little better. Maybe someone would have predicted. I mean, when we were talking about this, I think in the summer or late in the fall, when Lukaku left and Dzeko was coming in, it was like, there's going to be this massive hole there, because Lukaku is just like such a talented player, and Dzeko's a 35-year-old striker, who scored 8 goals last year for Roma. And that hasn't really been the case. And I think that's obviously been a big boon for Inter in their, title chase or defense, I guess, this season. So,
I think Inter also, so they lost Lukaku, but then I think in a more it wasn't quiet, because he went out with a bang, but they lost Christian Eriksen, who was a major attacking midfielder. And I think with Dumfries filling in with that, and Dzeko filling in Lukaku's old position, the two of them are kind of filling in these roles that Inter really needed.
Yeah, and Inter made some other signings too. They brought in Hakan Çalhanoğlu for the midfield, who's a solid player. He was playing at AC Milan. He moved across town. Which I imagine is quite frowned upon if you're the AC Milan side of that deal. They definitely made some, pretty savvy moves, I'd say, to try to fill in these holes. And they still had the, sort of footing of a really solid defense in place. So, it was good for them that they didn't have to retool there, and they can just kind of, swap some players out and try to make some things work with, obviously the financial constraints they're working with and everything else. But yeah, they're obviously very much in the hunt for the Scudetto. I did it. I finally did it.
Yay!
And the rest of this season is going to be really interesting to watch from a Serie A perspective.
You highlighted Kalidou
Koulibaly.
Yep.
Kalidou Koulibaly. Yes, he's a center back for Napoli. And he's a guy who's been touted as a big money transfer to a quote unquote larger team. Napoli's a big team, but to, a really large team, for a long time. And it just never happened for him. And now he's 29. He's kind of he's 30 now. So he's kind of on the wrong side of the age curve, if you will. Probably won't get that big money transfer, for the rest of his career, but this Napoli team is not one to be, upset that you're stuck on or whatever if you're Koulibaly. Yeah, they're obviously very, very good team. They're very competitive in Serie A. And, they could win this thing. So, lucky for him that they've kind of found their footing in the league and they're really competing. And they've built a good team. There's really some solid players. But, yeah, I think in this game he was, really, really impressive. I had some stats for you.
Hit me with them.
Yeah, so he won 5 of 7 duels, which I thought was very impressive. Given that he seemed like he was having to cover for a lot of the sort of looseness, I would say, at the back for Napoli. He was kind of their safety net. One unfortunate moment for the guy, I will say, where Dzeko does get his goal. It came off a really strange kind of bounce around the box. I think Dzeko had headed it and it was saved. Koulibaly had turned 370 degrees, and he seemed to kind of be lost in no man's land. And then Dzeko was able to follow up and just smash it into the top of the goal. So maybe one little black mark on the performance for the day. But other than that, I think he was pretty imperious at the back.
I think it took an unlucky bounce for Napoli.
Yeah.
And Dzeko was just there to get his own rebound with a weird angle of a shot too. I was surprised that he was able to land it so looked like easily into the goal.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting game.
It was a fun game.
We literally said this game's like crack.
Yeah.
It was so energetic. The pressure from both teams in the first half was just super intense. And I think Napoli was largely finding more success with their pressing and than Inter were. But by the 70-minute marker thereabouts, both teams just looked absolutely gassed.
Oh my God. And they really didn't even make that many subs. I think Napoli did a 4-person sub in the 80th minute or something.
Yeah, very strange. I've never seen that.
Yeah, and they just looked gassed. Napoli's press, Inter had a hard time playing out of, and I think that's what really contributed, because the first half, Inter was trying to find footing. And last game Inter played, they had a really, really solid first half, and then their second half they fell off. And so not having a solid first half, they found their footing in the second half. If they could just find the sweet spot in between that and maybe play an all-around good game. Yeah, that would be really nice for them and their title race. But Napoli worked. It was constantly pressing, and Inter just didn't know how to deal with it in the first half.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I think that's a credit to Napoli. They looked really organized and really energetic, and Inter seemed kind of, I don't know, surprised or ill-prepared for it. But like the Villarreal Real Madrid game, I think the same sort of, the same sort of development of the game took place. Inter really grew into the game after the halftime, after the break, and they looked way more comfortable. Napoli were having a harder time dispossessing. Inter were finding more space. They were finding, more time on the ball, and they just looked generally more comfortable and grew more into the game in the second half. Which, to be fair, I think it helps that they scored literally in the 49th minute. Or 47th minute rather, like basically right out from the kickoff of halftime. Dzeko gets his goal, which really helps.
Both teams, they in their scoring half, they scored very early. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, and that'll really throw a wrench in the plans, a spanner in the works, if you will. If you suddenly find yourself down or up, teams adjust to play differently in that game state. So, that does change things for sure.
Is it a, what's the word I'm looking for? To play that heavily, to play that constant press, is it going to hurt them in the long run? Because you're just beating these players into just deadbeat tired.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think while they were like pressuring a lot, I don't think it was like the sort of Leeds kind of insane spring your head off for 90 minutes kind of pressuring, It was really intense, but like a lot of teams play with that kind of intensity. Like Liverpool's a good example. They're a high intensity team, and they do that like week in and week out, basically. I think they know when to kind of ratchet it up and down to conserve legs, and that seems to be where you need to strike the nice balance. Because I think if you're just constantly asking your players to go like that, then they're obviously going to incur injuries over time. I don't think you can just cover that much ground at that intensity for that long without getting injured. So fun game. Absolutely cannot at all recommend enough the Serie A title race. Really, from it's like top four really is it's anyone's game, but the top three are really closely bunched. They're like all within a point.
It's 55, 54, 53, I think, something like that.
It is, yes. Milan, AC Milan, 55. Inter Milan, 54. Napoli, 53. Juve are behind Napoli by 8 points, but they also have a game in hand. So 8 points could become 5. They could become 8. They could become 7. You know how to do math.
Wow.
So it's really Inter, AC Milan, and Napoli that are really duking it out here. So flip on over to Paramount Plus, baby. Yep. We don't get paid to say that, but that's where you watch.
No, we actually pay to say that.
Yeah, that's true.
But with the Olympics, I got Peacock. So now we get all the Premier League games and Serie A. I don't know where the Bundesliga plays, honestly.
I think it's ESPN Plus, isn't it?
Oh, and we have that. Wow. God, we have problems.
Yeah.
All right. Are we moving back into the Premier League?
Let's do it.
With just another barn burner of a game. I wrote this. I got a laugh out of Blair and an LOL out of Jacob.
She's got to say it.
I have to say it. We watched Newcastle against Aston Villa. And then the subheading for this game was the actual villains against the Aston villains.
I got them.
Thank you. I'll be here for at least 2 more days.
Little geopolitics joke for you, though, folks. For you cartography heads out there. So, anyway, Yeah. What's the scoreline for this game, Maddie?
This game was boring.
Yeah, it sucked.
This game was 1-0 Newcastle 1, Aston Villa 0 over. I mean, they had a goal, but it was taken back, and that was about the most exciting part of this game.
Did to my boy.
Kieran Trippier had a really nice goal.
Yeah.
It was kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Like, they were like, okay, yep, he scored, took a weird deflection, thought the goalkeeper was going to have it, but he didn't. Okay, and we move on. And it wasn't like, yeah, look at my boy, he's done so well.
Yeah, it was really like both teams were just like so out of sorts, it seemed. And especially Aston Villa, where you're really used to seeing them, you know, they have solid technical players all over the field. You know, you're used to seeing Maddie Cash and Jacob Ramsey and now Coutinho and, you know, Emi Buendia and all these guys. You know, they link up well. They have, you know, nice, crisp passing. They're just good players. And you're used to seeing them perform at a higher level than what they did today. And
where were they today?
Yeah, it was just like, I don't know, it's Sunday. Like, maybe there was a sale on beverages. Maybe they all got too full on Mountain Dew the night before.
Jacked up on Mountain Dew.
Yeah, they're excited for the Super Bowl, folks.
Yeah, they love football.
Yeah. And yeah, they just couldn't wait for their guy Matt Stafford to win a Super Bowl ring tonight, folks.
If you like it, then you should put it. That's Detroit's song tonight.
Yeah, it is. In like every sense of the, if you like it, you should put a ring on. Yeah, so I don't know. It was just a really, really poor performance from Aston Villa, and even like the commentators in the game are just like, yeah, like Steven Gerrard's gonna be really frustrated with what he's seeing from them.
At
because
like the 70th minute, they showed him, and he's just like sitting slumped in a chair, and they're like, yeah, he's pissed. Yeah. He has resigned himself to not say anything. Nobody is performing, and they're gonna have a talking to in the locker room later.
Yeah. I remember like taking notes too, like while watching, and it was like 10th minute. Yeah, it kind of seems like both teams are really just trying to feel each other out and kind of get a sense for the game and what each team's trying to do here. 20th minute. Yeah, it seems like they're still trying to feel each other out a little bit. 30th minute. Yeah, still feeling each other out a little bit.
Are they going to feel each other out, or is this just going to be the game?
Yeah, yeah, feeling each other out, the game. Heavy petting. I don't know.
Newcastle, Aston Villa, a game of heavy petting.
Yeah. That's really all it was. And like, it's so fitting that the only goal in the game came from a set piece, because like they weren't going to do it in open play, you know?
No, neither of them really had like a, oh my God, that could have been it, except for the one that was it and then taken back.
Yeah, because it was offsides. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, obviously Trippier scores in the first half, right? Off of a set piece. So, I mean, and came off of like a probably one of Newcastle's better attacking chances in the game, where they, you know, were able to regain possession. Joe Willock was driving up the field. Callum Chambers, his ex-Arsenal teammate, comes out for a heavy challenge, completely misses the ball, and gets most of Joe Willock, and he goes down literally an inch outside of the box. Like they spent like so long checking to see whether he was in the box or not. And, you know, obviously at the end they decided that he was just outside and it was just going to be a free kick, which, you know, if you're Aston Villa, you prefer, obviously.
Did it make a difference?
Did not make a difference.
It somehow made its way through the wall.
Yeah, so like it went like between the wall and the nearest defender, I think.
Yeah.
So it was like right around the edge of the wall, and then between, like, I don't know who was on the edge of the wall, and that person and Emi Buendia, who was the nearest Villa defender. And he just kind of like wildly swung his foot up behind himself to get contact with it. Yeah. And it redirected it just enough where Emi Martinez, who's kind of tracking the trajectory of the shot, was suddenly off track. And it just went over his extended hand. He couldn't do anything about it. At first, it looked like, you know, it should have gone straight at Martinez and he just whiffed on the save. But I think, you know, on second look, that redirection from Buendia really threw him off and he couldn't really do anything about it. So that comes at the 31st minute, right? So 3 successive increments of 10 minutes where they're feeling each other out. Then this one thing happens Single moment, Trippier scores. Game-winning goal.
And then the rest of the game just kind of they pass it around. You know, it was like a game of keep away. Both teams, you know, had possession. Both teams lost possession. You know who couldn't keep possession?
Who's that?
Maddie Cash.
Yeah, he struggled.
I'm not used to seeing it. Like he has been a very solid player for weeks on end, and today even the announcers were saying like he's just kind of stumbling, and he gets the ball at his feet, and it's like, oh God, what do I do? And like the ball goes flying.
Oh boy!
and it was just kind of disappointing because he is the outside attacking mid. He's what's going to drive your attack, and when that guy can't keep the ball at his feet or just passes it away, where's your attack?
I must say, Maddie, that Maddie Cash is their right fullback, but he plays very high up the field.
Oh, he's on defense.
Yeah, so I can see why you would think he is attacking mid, because that's basically what he does. There's a bank robbery and a car chase going straight down our road. It's a one-way, though, so I don't know why you would do that. I guess if you were to...
Our neighborhood's very confusing.
Yeah. If you were on a car chase, though, would you want to be on one-ways? I think that might be easier than... Because you see in movies all the time where they're swerving into oncoming traffic.
Oh, yeah.
But then again, you can't really make maneuvers on one-ways. Yeah. So you do need that lane. So you have to take the risk of hitting somebody head-on, I think. Anyway. Something to think about with the bank robbery group chat so that everybody's in. Yeah, so, Matty Cash just, he fumbled the bag, as they say. And this was another game where it was like, all the attacking is like going down like one side again. At the start, it was basically Newcastle were feeding the ball to Ryan Fraser, and Ryan Fraser was trying to make the most of it. And, you know, we noted that Alan Saint-Maximin like basically wasn't in the game.
Yeah. He kind of showed up, you know, later in the second half, and he had a couple more drives, tried to get a couple more fouls called. And I wasn't impressed really either with him today. Even when he did show up, it was like, I don't know. Everybody just kind of seemed like they showed up to the game.
Yeah.
Like, hi, coach, I'm here to play, but I really don't want to.
Yeah.
Are there going to be snacks at halftime?
There probably were. There's more Mountain Dew. Yeah, so St. Maximin's like a really fun player, and it kind of sucks that he's on now Super Evil Megacorp FC, but like, what can you do? And like, he's a very like threatening attacker. Like, he's great with the ball at his feet. He loves to dribble. He's great carrying the ball. But I think he has that same sort of like syndrome that like all players that are really great at like beating players off the dribble or, you know, making nice long carries, where they just don't know quite when to pass the ball.
Hold on to it for a little bit too long.
And he just would find himself in crowds and be dispossessed, and that would be the end of that.
Or dribble himself into like a corner or a sideline and not know how to get out of it, and nobody's showing for him because he's dribbled into a corner.
Yeah, and you don't really know where he's going to go, you know? Because, like, it's just like, we got to let Alan just kind of have as much space as possible because he needs it. Like, he's going to try to use all of it.
His name is Alan?
Alan Saint-Maximin, yeah.
Oh, he had
it's like Elan, he's French, so. But obviously a very technically talented player. I think he bagged a couple of goals in their matchup. Is that at the midweek? I'm not sure anyway, but he's got it in him. And obviously he's just really important to their attack, but just wasn't really clicking for him today. So
it also, you know, didn't click for Coutinho. I don't even know if he got 10 touches on the ball. I don't even remember seeing him.
He had 45 touches, Maddie.
Well, no, I'm embarrassed.
But yeah, I mean, like, I think more of like the spirit of what you're saying is correct, because what, you know, like what Coutinho like did with the ball basically was like not very noteworthy. You know, like he had 45 touches, but it felt like 10 because what was he doing with it? Yeah, it was just like Alan's middle name is at first I read it as Irene, but it's like Irene. Sorry, never mind. Yeah, I mean, it was just like, what is he doing with it? There just wasn't a lot there. He had a couple of key passes, but no shots provided on target. Just didn't really provide a whole lot. Same with Watkins. Buendia was a little better. I mean, he was, a little more present in the attack, but no more than Coutinho was. So it was just a really poor performance from them going forward.
I think the most important, most exciting part of the game was when was it Tyrone Mings got his jersey like ripped off of his back. It was like, wow. Yeah. Either you're very strong or these shirts need to be made of something stronger.
Dan Burn took a mighty handful of his 6'6" man claw and just ripped the lower bottom back of Ming's shirt just completely off. I don't know.
Into a crop top.
Yeah, he had the Zeke Elliott thing going, crop top. But yeah, it was a little chippy there in the end. But yeah, I mean, Villa had their moments though, right? I mean, they came out of the half, and it seemed like they probably got an earful from Steven Gerrard at halftime, and he was just like, you guys remember that you've got to play the rest of the game, right? And like they did have they had a promising spell, like 20 minutes or so of decent attacking play. And it amounted to one goal that was called offsides. So we have some technical difficulties here, folks. See, I'm tightening it, but it's wanting to move more. Okay. Whatever. We're almost done with this shit anyway.
Yeah. The attacking momentum thing on SofaScore.
Mm-hmm.
It's all blue. It's all Aston Villa in the second half, and just nothing happened.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, their goal happened, but obviously it didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, so a frustrating day for Aston Villa, and obviously a vital 3 points for Newcastle, who are finding themselves further and further away from the misery, the fear inducement, the
I don't know where you're going.
Challenges of the championship, which is obviously great for them and bad for the rest of us, who are really hoping and rooting for them to go down and stay down forever. No offense.
Looks like you can buy a relegation winning run.
Yeah, you want to talk about fairness and competitive balance in the sport, and then you watch a team come in and spend as much money as they did in January.
The second most ever spent in a January transfer window was Newcastle United, and the first is Barcelona.
Yeah. They now find themselves 4 points clear of 18th. Norwich still have... Norwich have played one more game than them, but Watford and Burnley still have a couple of games to make up. Actually, Watford are even on games. It's mostly just Burnley. So Newcastle are finding themselves in a better position. Generally, they're playing what looks like actual professional soccer and not whatever the hell they were doing for the first 10, 12 weeks of the season. And
practicing.
Yeah, I think they've basically bought themselves safety for this year. And if you were a fan that was rooting for them to go down for that momentary year reprieve of the monumental cash infusion they're about to get in the summer, it looks unlikely.
Yeah.
So on that cheery note, Maddie, any final thoughts on the day?
On the day? So sorry to Bruno. We butchered his name.
Do you want to redeem yourself by saying it correctly?
Can I Google it again really quickly?
Yeah, sure. We can cut this, right?
Yeah, of course we can.
The world's most advanced website design platform. Made.
Oh, I want his name, not Bruno. Leicester lost, or Leicester tied.
Damn.
In the 91st minute, they scored. It's just the classic. Mm-hmm. Bruno Guimarães. Guimarães.
I'm hearing Guimarães. Where's the N coming from?
Guimarães.
Guimarães. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bruno Guimarães.
Guimarães.
Yeah. Okay.
We said Guimaraes.
Okay. To be fair to you guys, because I didn't say that, but I was
Yeah.
basically saying that.
Yeah.
Off air, folks. To be fair to you guys, I feel like we suddenly discovered that like all names in Portuguese are just pronounced much differently than we would have kind of expected as native English speakers.
Mm-hmm.
Where like it was like in the Euros this summer, it was like, you know, Bruno Fernandes or whatever, where we were like finding out that the S at the end of his name kind of makes like a sh sound, and it just like threw everybody for a loop. And I don't know. I mean, I discovered that things are not what they seem.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Bruno got 3 minutes in this game and 1 minute in the last game. So really making his huge impact. But the fan base was chanting his name in like the 70th minute. And the announcers like, this guy has never played. And the fan base is rallying behind him. They are excited. They've never seen him play and they are excited.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, your biggest money signing of the window, you want to see him play. You get excited for these things. And, you know, that's what they're, I guess, rooting for, I guess. But
all right, let's transition out of this.
All right.
You good?
Yeah.
So, co-host Jacob sent us an email 30 seconds before we started recording, and he has made us a graph titled Players Outside the Top 3 Who Are Top Expected Goal Contributors.
Maybe the graph will be like somewhere right here.
Oh, yeah, we can put it up there.
You could probably try.
For all of our audio listeners, it'll be right on the green screen.
Yes. Yeah, the green screen that you can hear. I'm rubbing it.
It's beautiful. Are there any surprises on here? Anybody you were surprised about?
I'm going to attempt to describe what I'm seeing on a graph.
It'll be on Instagram as well. The graph will be on Instagram. So
Cool.
if you want to take a look at the graph with all of the names, it'll be probably formatted better than
Sure.
this.
And you can follow along as I speak, as Maddie speaks, on what we're seeing here. All right, so it's a graph, right? So you got a square. There's an X and Y axis. Now, the Y axis goes in a vertical direction, up and down. X axis goes in a horizontal direction, left and right. That's
Picturing
like
it.
algebra 1 basics. So maybe not even that. It's like pre-algebra graph theory. So we've got on the X axis non-penalty XG, which means the goals that we would expect each player to score, not counting XG accumulated from penalty shot attempts. Because we know that penalty shot attempts are significantly higher than what you get generally in open play. And so stat heads like to exclude those to see what their true open play expected goals are. Some players who take a lot of penalties have really inflated XG numbers. And so that's why you want to subtract those, because you want to see, what are they actually doing in open play situations. So that's one. On the Y-axis, vertically, we've got the expected assists, which is just basically the same thing as expected goals, but it's the number of assists you would expect a player to provide in a season. And so together, those make up the two coordinates. The better performances are the players that are, up and to the right, which means that they're providing both goals and they're providing higher numbers for both expected goals and expected assists. Some players are, very high in only one direction. Interestingly, Cristiano Ronaldo is very high in XG. He's the furthest to the right at 8.6 expected goals for non-penalty XG, but is very low on XA at only 1.7. So what does that tell us?
He doesn't like to share. He didn't learn this lesson in kindergarten that sharing is caring.
Yes.
But strangely enough, his good pal and confidant Bruno Fernandes is high on the expected assists and one of the lowest on expected goals.
Yes. So maybe because the trick with stats, right, is you need to contextualize them within the team, within how they're trying to operate, and you need to actually like watch the games and see what they're doing, right? So if you have a guy like Bruno who's the setup man, is it so bad that Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't like to share?
No, but it's bad when he goes 6 games without scoring.
It is bad.
Yeah, that's not a great sign.
Yeah, because if he's not going to share and he's not going to score, then what is he going to do?
He's going to complain.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to walk off the field and pout and not say anything to anybody for a while.
And spit on his teammate.
What was that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think it was on purpose, but it doesn't look good.
It didn't look good. Yeah, so as Maddie said, Bruno Fernandes is highest in the XA category. He's sitting on 4.1 non-penalty XG and 6.6 XA. So, pretty decent all-around game, I would say, from him. That sticks out with what you see from Bruno. Mm-hmm. He can put it in the net and he can serve it on a platter. Any surprising names that you see here on this plot chart thing?
Yeah, I think another pairing is on this chart. Son Heung-min. Son. I'm just gonna go with Son.
Heung-min Son. Yeah.
Heung-min. Yeah. Why is it backwards?
It's how they do names. It's like the what is it? The patronym? Is that what it is? I don't know. Anyway, your the last name precedes the first name.
Okay.
Because like when we were watching the Olympics, it was like Kageyama Yuma, but I think his real he would say his name is Yuma Kageyama.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Heung-min Son and Harry Kane both have high expected goals and both are higher in the expected assists. Mm-hmm. Meaning they're a very good partnership for either putting it in the net or giving it up to their counterpart in expected goals.
Yeah, so I guess we should say that they're theoretically good at putting it in the net and
apparently not today.
Serving it up their partner. Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, Tottenham.
Yeah, Harry Kane had like 6 shots today.
Neither of us feel bad for them.
Nope.
So much hatred. I thought Jamie Vardy, I was kind of surprised is on here. He hasn't really been playing all that well and all that much. With a expected goals of 6.2 and expected assists of 1.3. So he's not very high on either of them. 6.2 is pretty good though. And nobody really to partner with on that for him. James Madison, I guess, is on here too. Which one surprised you?
What surprised me? I think it's interesting that actually let me check myself here because
check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yeah, I was about to wreck myself. Watford have a couple of players on here, Emmanuel Dennis and Joshua King. Who, Watford you don't really think of as particularly formidable attacking team, but yeah, both guys show up here in the better underlyings category. So Josh King's sitting a little higher on the expected goals than Dennis is, but I don't know. I was just kind of surprised to see those names listed, I guess. We also see Ivan Toney and Brian Mbeumo for Brentford on the list. Only one Arsenal player, Bukayo Saka, the young lad who just squeaks in the list at 4.7 MPXG and 3.4 expected assists.
And these are all as of before this weekend's scores too. So a couple days ago. But I don't think they'll change either that much.
Yeah. West Ham, other standouts, Mikel Antonio and Jared Bowen.
Yeah, huge. Both of them are the top right corner is West Ham. Yeah. Massive club West Ham.
Yeah. Yeah, West Ham also maybe in that top 4 contention, but we'll see.
Well, they squeaked one out today, so.
Yeah.
I'm fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Yeah, Leicester's doing great. I love supporting his team.
Yeah. Yeah, so Jacob's working with the old stats, the old numbers. He's got the abacus out. He's got the vinyl see-through green visor. He's smoking cigarettes. He's in a darkly lit room, and he's crunching the numbers for you guys at the expense of his own lung health. So
Poor guy.
hopefully we'll see some more of this stuff from him, and maybe more of it in writing. I think he's maybe going to try some blogs. We'll see.
Okay.
Christian Benteke is on this list.
Yeah, I saw that. And, not very high on either of them, but he's there.
Yeah. Just one of those guys where it's just like, he just doesn't, I don't know. Doesn't really pop for me, but hey, I don't know. That Crystal Palace attack's been a little more formidable this year than they've been in years past. So good to see him there, I guess.
Yeah. We will put this on the Instagram and on the YouTube video when this goes up, so you can follow along. Is there any other games that you wanted to? You guys didn't. Arsenal didn't have a game this weekend.
No, we just barely beat Wolves at the midweek. So
It was an interesting game.
yeah,
Leicester women won 3-0 today
hell yeah,
in a huge game.
yeah they did.
Wait, did they play West Ham?
Western women,
Yeah,
yes,
that's hilarious.
yeah, that's an interesting scheduling thing.
So Leicester women played West Ham and won 3-0, and Leicester men played West Ham and tied 2-2.
Yes, that's a good result though.
Yeah. And it's just frustrating because Leicester does this week in and week out. They lose the game in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Can't finish.
they need to work on that defense.
Yeah, it's been a problem for a while. All right, I think we're gonna go get prepped for some different kind of football.
Yeah, Maddie, who's going to win the Super Bowl?
That would be the Detroit Tigers. Lions.
The Lions are going to win it?
Yep.
They aren't in it this year. Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
Maddie Stafford and his the Bengals.
Maddie Stafford is going to transfer to the other team.
Shit, I knew it was wrong.
The Los Angeles Rams, perhaps?
Yeah. The Rams and the Bengals are going to duke it out in a safari-style throwdown, and Matt Stafford is going to come out riding a ram, which is really exciting, I think, for zookeepers everywhere.
Animal rights activists
PETA will be pissed.
will not be happy. Yes. I think the Rams are going to win as well for two reasons. One, I want Matt Stafford to win it. I won't go so as far as to say that they're like the Detroit Rams or whatever, because the Detroit Lions are such a woeful excuse of a professional sports franchise that there's literally like hundreds or thousands of fans like latching on to another team's Super Bowl as if it's their own because one player that used to play for our team is now on their team.
His first year out of contract with the Lions, he's like, yeah, I can do it now.
Just like such a sad state of affairs for us as Lions fans. We had the guy for like 10 years and we couldn't get to the Super Bowl or even like win a playoff game, and he's at the Rams for one season, isn't in the Super Bowl. It's like, come on. Anyway, that's fine. It's fine. We're over it. But
Halftime show is Eminem.
is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Dr. Dre, Eminem,
That'll be
Snoop
cool.
Dogg, right? And
I think you're right, yeah.
there's
I didn't
a
hear
woman in
Eminem,
there.
but I heard
There's a woman.
oh, isn't it like not Ashanti? What's her name?
I saw it. There's a video that they made to advertise. It was like a trailer of the halftime show. It's Dr. Dre, Kendrick Lamar, Eminem, Snoop Dogg, and Mary J. Blige.
That'll be great.
Yeah, it's gonna be huge. I'm excited for the snacks. I'm excited for Matt Staff. Excited for the snacks.
My second reason was the Rams have a great defensive line, and the Bengals' offensive line has been pretty poor in the playoffs. So good luck, Joe Burrow. I think you're going to be running around a lot tonight. All right.
You're gonna burrow yourself in a hole. Thank you. All right. Anything else, Blair?
No, laptop's closed. Cheers.
Have a great weekend or week.